If systems actually work the way people think, most businesses should not feel this hard. I've seen founders with perfect SOPs, perfect documentation, with automation and AI inside their businesses, but they were still stuck in the same place. And seeing this pattern over and over again with my clients made me create this video. So we are going to be diving deeper into the art of business systems, and by the end of this video you'll understand what a real system actually is, why most of them quietly fail, and how to think about systems in a way that actually makes business easier to run. Most people hear the word system and they think directly to documents, to SOPs, to checklists, to Notion pages, maybe a few automations that are ultimately glued together. But those things aren't really systems. They are more like components of a specific system. A real system is something very specific. A system is a machine that turns inputs into outputs. That's it. And here is where things usually go wrong. People start building documentation without being ultimately clear on what their machine actually does. Therefore, work happens, tasks move, people feel busy, right? But nothing really feels predictable inside a business. Let's take this analogy. Let's say you have a factory, right? So you have your raw material that goes into your factory, into your machine. Something is happening inside, and then something is being outputted, a product. If you don't know what the raw material is, or how it's supposed to be transformed, or what a good final product actually looks like, then you don't really have a factory, you don't really have a business, you have just some activity going around. That's how most of the businesses actually operate. I want you to do this real quick exercise. Pick one of your business systems, either sales, onboarding, or whatever, right? Now, if I asked you what got in, what comes out, and how you know it actually worked, could you answer that clearly? Because if not, that means we have a problem. And the uncomfortable truth is that most systems don't fail because they are poorly built. They fail because nobody defined the input, the output, or what the signal is that tells you if everything is working. So the system can't improve, it can correct itself, therefore you are going to become the system. And that's really bad. That's actually the main reason why entrepreneurs are getting burnt out and why they fall out of love with their business. Once you see systems as machines, a pattern starts to show up. Most systems don't break loudly, they don't crash, they don't explode, they just slowly drift. And here's the first failure point. Most systems have undefined inputs, right? You get leads that come from everywhere, you get requests that arrive in different formats, and exceptions show up randomly. And because the input is not clear, everything downstream becomes fragile. Then there's the second failure point, which is no one defines what good output actually looks like. So work gets done, tasks are getting completed, but nobody knows if the system actually succeeded because success was never specified. And then there's the third failure, which is the most dangerous in my opinion, which is no signal. A system without signal can tell you when it's healthy. It can tell you when it's breaking, so you only notice problems once they hurt, like missed deadlines, like unhappy clients, revenue dips, and by the time you feel it, it's already late. And this is why most founders feel like they're constantly reacting to what is happening inside and outside their businesses, not because they are bad operators overall, but because their systems are literally blind. Let's do this quick test. So think about the last problem you had in your business. Maybe you didn't reach the target that you wanted in terms of revenue in a specific month, or something crashed right along the way in your operations. Now, did the system warn you it was coming? Or did you only notice it when it actually became urgent? Because if it's the second one, that's not chaos, that's missing feedback. And when systems don't produce clarity, that's when people step in. And you don't really want that because it's time wasted and it's energy wasted. So you answer questions, you make judgment calls, you smooth things over. Again, you are quietly and slowly becoming the system overall. Therefore, you are going to get to burnout quicker. And with you becoming the system, again, there's a lot of problems coming downstream, not because there's too much work, but because every decision flows through only single one person, through you. And this leads to the biggest misunderstanding of them all, that people think that solution is better execution, like more discipline, like more documentation, more tools, you just keep adding. But the real problem is not execution, it's that the system has no way to learn. Which brings us to the missing piece. Now, when you are asking a person about a system, there are always three parts that are kind of obvious, right? You have something that goes in, something that is happening inside the business, and then you have an output, something that comes out. Usually most people stop there, but systems that actually work have a fourth part. And if you did not guess it, it's actually feedback. And feedback is that fourth step that turns activity into improvement. Right? You want your systems to constantly improve, because without it, systems don't evolve, they stay stagnant, and that's why you cannot reach your targets. And here is a really important distinction. Feedback is not about tracking everything. really important. You don't have to track literally every point of data that you have inside your business. It's about creating signal, right? So a way to know is where things are slowing down, where quality is dropping, and where effort isn't converting into results. This is what you want to find out ultimately because of feedback. Now, if you don't have feedback, you ultimately are going to fix all of the problems based on vibes and feelings, and that's not usually a good way of operating a business, right? You think sales is the issue, you suspect onboarding is kind of messy, and you assume fulfillment needs a bit more work, but you're just guessing. And guessing, again, is not the way to go. And feedback does not have to be complex. It can be sometimes data. Maybe sometimes there are some patterns that you see. Maybe it's repeated friction in some place inside your business. What matters is that the system tells you something before it actually happens. It's prevention. That's when systems stop being static and they are active, they are constantly evolving. They don't rely on a single person or hero effort, let's say, to upgrade everything and to see what is burning and how to put it out, right? It only relies on visibility, where you can actually see data. And if you understood this, then you should change your perspective in this way. You are going to stop asking yourself, what should I fix? And you're going to start asking yourself, where is flow being restricted inside my business? You have to think of your operations as a river, right? A stream of water. Because adopting this perspective, you're not trying to improve everything all at once, right? You're looking for that single constraint because of feedback, because of data. That one place where effort actually creates leverage. We want leverage when it comes to scaling our businesses. Now, I want to dive a bit deeper into this single word, which is flow, right? The easiest way to understand this is to stop thinking about systems as tasks, right? And start thinking about them as pipes. Imagine your business as a pipe. At the start of the pipe, something enters. That can be demand, that can be requests, that can be leads, that can be work, whatever, right? At the end of the pipe, something is getting pushed out, right? Results, value, revenue. Everything in between determines how smoothly the flow moves. And here is where one of the most important mistakes comes up in terms of what people and founders do with their businesses is that they try to increase the inputs, what goes into the pipe, before fixing what happens inside it. They usually do more marketing, they do more outreach, they do more volume overall. But if the pipe is restricted at one point between the ins and the outs, then more pressure doesn't really help your whole business, because ultimately that pipe is going to explode, and guess who is going to put that patch on the pipe? It is going to be you. And again, this is a stage where growth usually feels painful, and that's not because demand is bad, but because the systems cannot support the amount of volume that comes into the pipe. Now think about this. If twice as much demand showed up tomorrow for your business, where would things slow down first? Is it sales? Is it onboarding? Is it delivery? The first place that comes to mind is where flow is usually restricted inside your business. So you have to be careful about that specific area, either onboarding, delivery, whatever it is. Once you start seeing systems as flow, a lot of confusion usually disappears, because you stop asking why is everything broken and you'll start asking where is flow being lost. Now, from this specific question, where is flow being lost, we are going to go to the most important concept in systems, in my opinion, which are constraints. Now, in any system, usually progress is limited by one single thing. One, not 10, not everything, one specific thing. And most people try to fix everything or a lot of other things all at once. And again, that's because you operate based on vibes, based on feelings, which is not good at all. Maybe you feel like the sales is a bit off. Maybe the design on your website is not curated enough. It's not speaking to your ideal customer. So you start spreading your attention on all of these things and working on all of them, but they're not really getting any growth to your business or to your systems, but it does feel a bit productive. And that is like the addictive thing that keeps you going. But there is one thing clear, which is kind of uncomfortable. And that thing is that improving a system anywhere except the one thing, except the bottleneck, doesn't increase overall input. So you're not going to ultimately scale just like you would love to scale. This is why optimization usually overall, when trying to optimize something, often disappoints, because you basically polish areas that don't really matter. Again, the goal is not to make every part of your system perfect. The goal is to remove that one constraint that restricts flow the most. Now, once that constraint is addressed, flow increases naturally, right? Then a new bottleneck appears, and that's not failure, that's progress, because once you have a new bottleneck, you can concentrate on it. And that's how you tackle it one by one. And at this point, usually system design sounds a bit complicated, which it really isn't, because designing a system simply means deciding things in advance. Specifically, let's say what enters the system, what should happen inside, what good looks like at the end, and what happens when things don't go as planned. These 4 things. If those decisions are not made in advance, then someone has to make them on the spot, right? And that someone is usually you. And again, you are becoming the system. We keep getting to the same thing that slows businesses down. Imagine stepping away for 2 weeks from your business. You are getting a simple vacation, right? We all need to do that sometimes. Now, what decisions would people still need to ask you about? Because those aren't management issues, those are design issues, design gaps. Good systems usually don't really eliminate work, but they more so eliminate unnecessary decisions, which would ultimately be done by you. And they move judgment out of the moment and into the design, right? So you're not going to get burnt out and you're not going to get dragged out of your focus or flow state whenever you are working with a simple question, with a simple email that could hypothetically be fixed by a perfect system design inside your business. And this is why strong systems usually feel calm. You feel like your business is still. You're not going to be bothered. You're not stressed because you know that everything is where it needs to be. Everybody knows what they need to do and how their output should look, right? Not because nothing goes wrong, right? Because even with the best systems, you can still have some issues coming up. But you are calm because problems have a place to land. Now let's talk about the real system improvement cycle. Here's what this looks like in practice. You design the system, you run it, you watch where it breaks, then you fix one constraint, not everything again, one. After that, you increase demand slightly, you let more flow through the system and observe again. Either more leads, maybe you pump more money into the ads, maybe you outreach more, whatever. What is in, you just scale it. And this cycle usually repeats. Design, run, observe, fix the constraint, and increase flow. Now, the goal isn't perfection. The goal is learning. You keep getting one bottleneck after the other and you keep fixing them and you learn things, and that's how you create good systems and good designs. It's literally learning over and over and over again. There's still a really important thing that you need to understand ultimately, and that's that systems that scale aren't the ones that never break. Again, every system is going to eventually break. It's inevitable, right? There has to be something that goes wrong. But they are the ones that surface problems early and improve predictability, because now you kind of have vision into the future. You're going to see, oh, if we keep doing this, maybe then in the next quarter or the next 2 quarters, we are going to have a dip in our revenue. Or if you keep doing this, then the leads are slowly declining. You know, you have signs. You're like a fortune teller, you know, like a magician. And I want to end this video with a perspective shift. Most people build systems to feel organized, but architects build systems to create flow. Flow is what you are trying to ultimately achieve here, right? Because if you want a better system, you are going to stop asking yourself, which tool should I use? And you're going to start asking yourself, where is flow being lost? And this is the art of business systems. This is actually the foundations, because on top of this, then you're going to add automations, maybe then you're going to add even AI, which ideally every business would like to reach that level. But 100% you need to have really stable foundations and systems put in place before going to step 2, which is automation, and step 3, which is AI. Now, if you need any help with setting out the foundations for your business, or if you already have some solid foundations, and if you did all of these little exercises from the video and you checked all of the boxes, good for you, congratulations. You can go to the second step, which is automation, or the third one even, which is AI. And if you want to do that and you don't know how, again, you have a link in the description where you can contact me and my team, and we are going to work something out for you. If you found this video helpful, like and subscribe, and see you on the next one.